Yo, what's up, jazz guitarist? Larry Tamanini here. Jazz guitar under 5 minutes. Hey, you know, it's a really nice, unseasonably warm day here in Bucks County in Doylestown. Had a really nice early walk with Hershey. He's out cold, as you can see, kind of taking up a lot of the couch. But what better day to get to some guitar, right? And you know, every day is the right day to get to the guitar. I mean, if you're here, you're probably pretty serious about the instrument or some instrument. And you know, what else is there, especially in all these kind of crazy times? I'm so thankful for the guitar. And I'm thankful that I can kind of play by myself because I like to play music. Sometimes I really miss playing in clubs or playing with full bands. But the idea of just kind of being able to sit down and play a song by yourself is quite a challenge for a guitar player. I think it was Joe Pass that said you can find out that you're a good guitar player when you can play unaccompanied for an hour. It's pretty hard to do. Basically one set of music. Pretty big challenge, right? You know, and if you're not one of those people that are just like completely naturally talented and understand form and time and rhythm and feel right off the bat, like you might be on the struggle bus to Jazz Guitar City trying to just be able to play by yourself. So what you heard me do here, right, is a couple of things that are really going to help you just be able to get through playing a melody, playing a chorus by yourself, right? A couple of tips, solo tips, let's call it, right? So the first thing you heard me do, and I'm just using a out of nowhere, or as some people say, out of nowhere, as my example, right? And the first thing I ended up doing was I played an intro. Right? Just a D pedal. I like thirds, right? I like the way the guitar sounds with root notes, and hear that tension, but it's gonna resolve, right? This is kind of a string exercise that Dennis Sandoli had me do like over the years, where you'd be, you know, kind of taking like an idea like this and like, you know, a double stop, and you kind of like move it all over the guitar, right? More like it would always, his stuff would always be like on the bottom strings, and it wasn't very musical. But if you move it up an octave, you know, you can kind of get some cool little ideas with stuff like that. And sometimes when you can recycle a finger exercise into a musical idea, that's like the ultimate musical repurposing, right? So I wanted to start out with an intro. Why? Number one, you want to sort of build up some momentum in a tune. And if you're playing by yourself, you want to create, I don't want to say waste time, but you want to find a way to make a song longer. And it's not like, when you're a kid and you're in school and you have to write like a 200-word essay, and instead of saying like, I did the work that needed to be done, you try to find like all these extra words that I did the work that I needed to get done to be able to be done doing the task that I needed to do the work. You don't want to get into that habit musically where you're not really going anywhere. You want to make these notes count, right? So we're not wasting time, but we're creating another part of the song, and we're kind of like, especially when you're playing solo, it's really difficult, to just start. You hear a lot of people maybe play rubato all the time, and like that's cool. At some point, like I want to hear some time. I think most people want to hear some time. So I like to give myself a little intro to just sort of like feel where I want to put the song. And I think that was a little fast because I don't think I could get the melody out. So tempo is really important too, but just to move along, I wanted to play it a little quicker. So that's what I did to create some time. And if I wanted to play longer, I probably would have used that as an outro. And I probably would have played it longer too. So you start out with an intro. And then when you're stating a melody, right? Certain songs, lend themselves to like ballads. This is a song that I like to play slow. I like to play fast. I like to play it in 3. That's really good when you know a song well enough to be able to move it around. I kind of did it as like a mid-tempo jam. So if I'm playing mid-tempo stuff, I'm really not going to play a lot of chord stuff because I just can't get it. So I want to state the melody, really clearly. But I do want to play some chords. I tried to do a couple of little things as well, right? I just didn't want to always just go to the G. So let's just talk about a couple of things that you can do. And really simply, you're kind of like thinking about the melody and like what the strongest note is. And you want to put a chord behind it. Now there's all sorts of like cool things. If I was doing this as a ballad, with that little kind of, you could do so much stuff. Nice little counterpoint idea is pretty cool. But again, I just really wanted to play simply. I go back and look at my videos and I talk about like, playing simply, and I'll listen to other gigs. And then I look at some of these lesson videos and I'm like, I should just play like that all the time. The idea of playing simply is kind of where it's at. It's great to play notes as a guitar player, but again, stating the melody simply. All right, you kind of get to this B flat, and that's sort of where I ended up wanting to bounce off the melody, I guess. Right? Give it a little space. Anytime you can use natural harmonics on the guitar, you should always do it. And from there, I went to this, I really like this sort of dark E7 chord, flat 9. I played something like that, right? Again, I stated the melody. Little Naima quote. Whatever to get myself back, right? And again, that time I ended up using the chords and kind of like, I love to do that over a minor chord where you're just kind of playing the thirds up. E sus to E7. Something like that. And again, what I'm doing, so when I get to to this part, I'm sort of thinking about what I can do over my solo, right? Building, you don't want to think about starting your solo on that first note, especially if you're playing by your guitar. I mean, the first beat of the first bar, right? You're going to use this turnaround to build some momentum. I like to play this line. So now the next part is the concept I wanted to use and talk about while I was soloing, okay? So the idea that I did here was I wanted to play real simple phrases up front, real easy ideas, call and response ideas. So something I did. And then keeping that idea going. All right, so once I got to that part and I took, just these real simple ideas for the first 8 bars. All right, now once I got through those 8 bars, now I want to maybe play a little bit longer of an idea, right? So I might try to play a 2-bar phrase. Give it some space, right? And I might want to play another 2-bar phrase there. Just over that B flat minor idea, right? So the next thing that I ended up doing, right, after I played 8 bars of like one bar ideas with a chord, right? Right. All right, so now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to play like a theme. And I think I played something like... Right? Just a real simple idea that I'm playing off. Going down an arpeggio. F sharp. B. G. Right? And then I kind of kept that going over the... That's why it's important to learn your arpeggios. And then, I might have played a similar type of idea over that, going up. But again, really wanting to emphasize that E7 right there because I'm going to the next part of my tune. So after I kind of play some real controlled ideas, 1-bar ideas, moving on to 2-bar ideas, trying to come up with a theme, for 8 bars that I want to keep going. Now, now you can kind of put your own stamp on it and sort of play some ideas that you want to, you mix them all together. And once you get to this part, I wanted to play a sequence. And then there's that idea. But I want to play something a little different there. Something like that, right? Just a little variation sometimes can be enough to disguise a couple of the licks that you can get a lot more use out of, right? And when you're playing and then you're in the shed and you sort of have time to make these decisions, it's great to practice because you do that a lot and then it just becomes second nature in a playing situation. And look, as guitar players, we all get, called for these gigs where you have to play by yourself. They usually pay a little bit better, but if you don't know a lot of tunes and you kind of can't play by yourself that well, it can be really kind of a daunting task. So start out by taking a song that you know pretty well and play really easy ideas. You play the melody simply. And then just think about like stating the melody and using the chords and your chord melody to answer what's happening. All right, and then you kind of get through that, and maybe you kind of throw in some of your own stuff, and then you have an intro too, right? Always great to play tunes in like open keys because chances are you can use an open string to get like something going on with the intro, like we did in the very beginning, right? You know, third tritone, third tritone, third tritone, third tritone, third tritone, tritone, third tritone, chord 2/5, take a me to G. You can accompany yourself with single notes too, you know. I mean, it's not a chord melody, but it's kind of a cool concept that can break up a chord melody idea, right? So again, these are just some real ideas. You get an intro happening. That's going to help you build some momentum. You learn the melody well enough where you can state it and then punctuate it with the chords. Then you start to solo, and you know, you don't have to be like a Love Supreme, you know, or you don't have to reinvent the John Coltrane matrix over all this stuff. You can play simple ideas, and it starts out by just playing one bar ideas, you know, and comping for yourself. And then you know, once you get used to it, then you can try to even play longer ideas, you know? I mean, that can be like fun to practice, but maybe not like super musical where you're like, you know, I'm going to work on 9-bar phrases. You know, probably, again, something you want to leave in the practice room, but I'm sure there's a way you can make it musical. But all right, jazz guitar friends, thanks so much. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. You know, I'm pretty close to 3,000 subscribers. I've gotten so many awesome messages from everybody out there on YouTube. And thank you. I have plenty of teaching slots available. I love to teach. I love to talk about guitar. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I'll be back with some more content. Try to get out there, enjoy that good weather if wherever you are has good weather. But if not, guitar should always be there. Keep swinging. Bebop.